Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at some very fun battles in the Kanto Cup featuring XL Legacy Poliwhirl. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, so many thanks for the battle submission. XL Poliwhirl is a pure water type Pokemon with the moveset of Mud Shot, Mud Bomb, and the legacy charge move of Scald. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Legacy XL Poliwhirl in action in the Kanto Cup. Hopping into the first match, leading Poliwhirl into Alolan Marowak. This is a fantastic lead for the Poliwhirl. Opponent will immediately save switch into a Snarl Alolan Muck, but honestly, this is not a better situation for the opponent, as Poliwhirl is going to be able to spam out these Mud Bombs, fires off a first, and is already at a second, and unless they shield, this Muck is being taken out. Opponent is going to commit the shield because they do have quite a bit of energy. Poliwhirl is going to let the first Dark Pulse through. That does a solid amount of damage, but from here, it can very safely shield the second, and then outpace and be able to reach a third Mud Bomb. And that way, the opponent is going to have to give up that final shield if they want to preserve the Muck. Mud Bomb takes down the Muck, and he still has the Scald Poliwrath in the back for that Alolan Marowak. Opponent does have Alolan Graveler, which farms down, and now going to bring in Hypno. At this point, you can just bring in Hypno to soak the damage, and then trust in that Poliwrath in the back. Graveler goes for the Stone Edge. They bring in Marowak, and Marowak is going to be met with the Poliwrath. Poliwrath farming up and going straight for the Scald. Scald should just about KO here, but deciding to go for the undercharge. It looks like he may be trying to farm down to leave with moves to take out the Graveler. This Marowak is running Shadow Ball, and that's going to do some pretty significant damage. It looks like he is going to full send it here and try and commit to the Mudshot farm down, shielding up the Bone Club. Can he get there? Poliwrath is able to farm down, but the question is, can Poliwrath live the Volt Switch here? This is going to be very close. Scald gets the shield, and it survives on 1 HP. Poliwrath is going to be able to take down the Graveler, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading Poliwhirl into Nidoqueen. This is a very nice lead. Opponent is going to immediately save switch into a Hypno, and this is honestly a bit tricky. His backline doesn't do well against the Hypno with an energy lead, so he is going to be staying in here with the Poliwhirl. Poliwhirl fires off the Scald, and now he's going to bring in the Hypno. Even if this is a Shadow Ball, non-Shadow Hypno does tank a Shadow Ball fairly well here, and then can start firing off some moves. Thunder Punch is not going to be enough to KO here, but it will be getting that opponent very low, so the opponent is going to commit the shield. One thing I really like about this team is that it has 3 good answers to Nidoqueen, so even if he does lose switch here, Nidoqueen still has nowhere to run. Firing off the Thunder Punch goes unshielded, not enough to KO the opponent, and the opponent is able to reach a last second move. That is unfortunate. Thunder Punch is going to KO, but now he can bring back in the Poliwhirl to get ahead on energy. We'll have to see. Do they bring in the Nidoqueen? They do not. They bring in Lapras. So things are looking very good for a Poliwrath sweep in the back. Firing off the Mud Bomb. Mud Bomb, unfortunately, not going to be doing a lot of damage in this matchup because Lapras is very tanky. Firing off a second Mud Bomb as well. And now it is Poliwrath time. Opponent is going to bring in Nidoqueen, and he's going straight for the Scald. Scald will do massive damage here if they let it go, which they do, nearly taking out the Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen does have enough for an Earth Power here, going to commit the shield, and they do full send the Earth Power. He's able to leave with a Dynamic Punch, and things are looking very good. This Lapras should be able to reach a Skull Bash, but then Poliwhirl should be able to close out the game. They just let through the Dynamic Punch, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading Poliwhirl into Snorlax. Fairly neutral lead, but opponent decides to immediately save switch into Blastoise. Maybe they thought they were going up against a Poliwrath and had to get out of there, but Poliwhirl does not have any fighting type moves. Blastoise is going to fire off the Hydro Cannon. That's not going to do a whole lot. And then in comes Hypno. Hypno will be able to tank this Hydro Cannon, no problem, and then fire back with the Thunder Punch. This is going to be doing some nice, super effective damage onto the Blastoise, and Thunder Punch is able to get a shield. Now it's a race. Thunder Punch versus Hydro Cannon, goes for the Thunder Punch, but loses CMP to the Blastoise. Going to need to commit the shield if he wants to get off the Thunder Punch, and that's exactly what he decides to do. Does the opponent want to give up the final shield here? They do not, and Blastoise gets taken out. This will set up a pretty nice nice farm for the Snorlax. Back in comes the Snorlax. These licks adding up, not wanting to get farmed down. Aggressive switch back into the Poliwhirl. Poliwhirl fires off the Scald. Scald deals big damage to the Snorlax. And the final Pokemon is revealed to be Hypno. And this is not good news since he has a Poliwrath in the back. Able to get an attack drop with Scald though, which is very nice. And firing off Scald number 2. This will be getting the Hypno quite low. Able to grab a shield, and the Hypno throws. That is absolutely fantastic. Opponent probably could have farmed down there, but didn't want to get hit with another move. Maybe didn't know the Poliwhirl counts, and waste some energy. And now it's all up to Poliwrath. Poliwrath firing off the Scald. That gets the Hypno low, and the catch onto his own Hypno. That is fantastic. Able to tank that Thunder Punch. Back in comes Snorlax, and it does have energy. So not out of the woods yet by any means. Poliwrath may need to slightly overfarm here. Does ever so slightly overfarm, and is going to fire off the Dynamic Punch. This will be taking out the Snorlax. This is going to be close. Can he reach a move before Hypno farms him down? Yes, he can. Poliwrath able to reach the Scald. Poliwrath is a Hypno counter confirmed, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, shooting Poliwhirl into Shadow Nidoqueen. This is a pretty nice lead. Opponent is going to save switch into Lickitung. He banks a Mud Bomb and then brings in Poliwrath. Honestly, I think he may have been better off throwing the Mud Bomb and then bringing in the Poliwrath, because one Dynamic Punch is not going to KO here, even despite the fact that this Lickitung is somewhat underpowered. Shields the Power Whip and is going straight for the Dynamic Punch. Dynamic Punch able to connect, but as you see, leaves it in a very awkward health range where it's not going to be able to be farmed down, so it's going to be forced to fire off another move. Goes for the Dynamic Punch, Lickitung shields, and they're going to fire off another Power Whip. He decides to commit both shields on the Poliwrath, farming up, and this time going for the Scald. This way, if they shield, hopefully he can get an attack drop. Scald goes unshielded, and down goes the Poliwrath. Back in comes the Shadow Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen farms up and goes for the Poison Fang just as he's able to reach the Scald. This will be taking down that Poliwrath. Back in comes Poliwhirl. In the back is Shadow Lapras, and Shadow Lapras is going to be met with Hypno. Shadow Lapras does do quite a bit more damage than the regular, so 2 Surfs plus the Ice Shards may actually be enough to KO. Either way, this is going to be very close. Thunder Punch is going to be able to get the shield from the Lapras. Lapras farming up and firing off a move. I believe Surf is going to be enough to KO here. It is, and Hypno is not able to get to that second Thunder Punch. Poliwhirl fires off the Mud Bomb. It's Poliwhirl versus the world now. Poliwhirl firing off another Mud Bomb. This will be taking out the Shadow Lapras. And then the question is, can it reach the Scald before Shadow Nidoqueen reaches the Earth Power? It's going to be close. He's able to get to the Scald. That should be game over. A Scald will be taking down the Shadow Nidoqueen. And that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading XL Poliwhirl into Shadow Hypno. Opponent will immediately save switch into Shadow Snorlax, and he's actually looking to stay in here. Typically, if someone leads Hypno, they have a Snorlax save switch. Odds are it's probably something else weak to fighting in the back. So it looks like that's what he's reading, and he's going to save the Poliwrath for whatever that final Pokemon is. Poliwhirl reaches the Scald, but goes for the Mud Bomb bait. Hopefully the opponent shields, because this will not be enough to KO. They call it, and they're able to reach a second Body Slam. That is quite unfortunate, as he's going to have to give up a shield. He's going for the farm down here. Poliwhirl is able to get the farm down, but unfortunately doesn't have a lot of HP remaining. Opponent is going to wait the switch clock, come back in with the Shadow Hypno. This confusion is going to be taking out the Poliwhirl. Poliwhirl does fire off one final Scald, which does do a nice amount of damage. And now in comes their own Hypno. The Hypno Mirror can always be tough. Shadow Ball is not lethal from this range. Lets it go, and it's only a Thunder Punch. Going to fire back with a Thunder Punch of his own. This is not going to be enough to KO, but will get the opponent quite low. Does get the opponent very low, and the opponent is going to fire off a second punch here. Able to tank the Thunder Punch. In the back, it's an Alolan Sandshrew, and things are looking very good. Sandshrew able to fire off the Night Slash. Choosing to shield the Hypno. I'll be honest, I probably would have saved the shield for Poliwrath, but here he gets to fake a potential Fire Punch and get the shield. And now down a shield, but Poliwrath has a dominating matchup here. Poliwrath is going to resist all of Sandshrews' possible charge moves. They go for a Gyro Ball, and that's just not going to be doing nearly enough damage. Dynamic Punch would be hitting for double super effective, so Sandshrew is forced to shield it. Farming up, I believe this should only be a Night Slash, so Poliwrath is going to be able to tank that, no problem. Fortunately, they do not get the boost, and he's going to be firing off that second Dynamic Punch. This will be taking out the Sandshrew. Back in comes Shadow Hypno, going for the farm down. They can't get it, and Poliwrath is able to close out the match. Dynamic Punch taking down the Shadow Hypno, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, picking up a dominating lead, Poliwhirl into Alolan Sandslash. And even better, this is a non-Calm Day Sandslash, meaning that it's running Powder Snow instead of Shadow Claw. Mud Bomb does massive damage, they save switch into Lickitung, and is going to immediately respond with his Poliwrath. We've seen this matchup play out before. One Dynamic Punch is not enough to KO, so he is going to need to land a second move as well. Able to connect with the first, opponent overfarms and throws just before he's able to reach the second. Very nice timing by the opponent. They go for the Power Whip, and he is going to be firing off the Scald. Scald is only neutral here, but he's hoping that if he gets the shield, he can get the attack drop. Able to get the shield, and now they're going to be firing off another move. This could be the Power Whip, and it is. He is going to be double shielding and going for another Scald. Does the opponent commit the final shield as well? They do not, and down goes the Lickitung. They are going to be bringing in Pidgeot. Pidgeot is their fighting counter. Makes sense to have one because their first two Pokemon both take super effective damage from fighting. Fires off the Scald, able to deal a nice amount of damage. And now in comes Hypno. Hypno farming up quite a bit, and a very nice CMP sack by the opponent. An incredible play. Firing off the Ice Punch, and able to catch the Thunder Punch as well. Very nicely done, but then the opponent actually commits the shield. I'm not sure I agree with that play by the opponent. They made a fantastic catch, but then ended up using the final shield. They fire off the Bulldoze. Poliwhirl overfarms quite a bit and is going for the Mud Bomb. Mud Bomb is going to be taking care of the Alolan Sandslash and should be able to reach a Scald versus the Pidgeot. Unfortunately, Pidgeot fires off a move. Feather Dance not enough to KO, and he's able to reach the Scald anyway. Is a debuffed Scald enough? Yes, it is, and that is a good game. Hopping into the final match, leading Poliwhirl into another Shadow Nidoqueen. Great lead. Nidoqueen is actually staying in this matchup, which is even better. Builds up to the Scald, but going for the Mud Bomb bait. Hoping to try and grab the shield, and he's able to get it. That is huge. Farming up, goes for the Scald, but unfortunately, Nidoqueen does win CMP. He is going to shield up. Unfortunately, it is just a Poison Fang, and then he's going to fire back with the Scald. Scald takes down the Shadow Nidoqueen. Opponent brings in Lickitung, and he's going to stay in here and fire off another Scald. At this point, you just stay in here, let the Poliwhirl get taken out, because then you can align it against your Poliwrath. So you should be in a pretty nice spot here. Actually, Lickitung going for the farm down and able to reach another Scald. At this point, Hypno will tank the energy better, so you definitely bring in the Hypno just to absorb this damage. Because at this point, this is Confusion farm down range. Lickitung goes for the Body Slam. In the back, they have a Shadow Alolan Marowak, which is going to be met with the Poliwrath. Poliwrath is going to be able to basically one-shot with Scald, so Poliwrath is in a prime position to close out this game. Poliwrath going for the Scald. Marowak will commit the shield. Marowak should be able to reach a move before Poliwrath gets there, but Poliwrath can very safely shield up, reach the Scald, and this game should be over. Poliwrath is going to overfarm to get a bit of extra energy, trying to maximize the amount of energy gain to hopefully reach a move versus the Lickitung. Lickitung not going to be able to farm down, and Poliwrath saves the day yet again, taking care of its little brother, and that is a good game. All in all, some very fun battles in the Kanto Cup featuring a pretty spicy pick with the XL Legacy Poliwhirl. I would say Poliwhirl's biggest issue is just how expensive it is to make. You have to invest all that Stardust, all those XL candies, and an Elite TM to get it to work. To be honest, it can put in some solid work in the Kanto Cup, but at the moment, with how expensive it is, there are probably cheaper options. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.